So I call it the diet land swing. The diet land swing. So I want you to imagine a swing that you just swing on, a swing like in the playground. When you restrict, and restriction is denying yourself certain things, whether it be one food group, a whole, eating less food on a whole, mentally or physically denying yourself, any type of restriction, what you're doing in that moment is you're pulling the swing back as far as possible. And the more you restrict, the higher you're pulling that swing back. Now, you cannot hold that swing up like that forever. It is physically impossible. And I'll tell you why in a second. And so what happens when you let go of that swing is the natural thing to happen is it swings to the other side. And the other side is where you will binge, where you will feel out of control around food. And that other side feels very scary. It feels very, your behavior is upsetting. It's upsetting to be in that place where you are binging, where you're allowing yourself food. Now, you might physically be allowing yourself certain food, but you're not necessarily emotionally allowing yourself because you're beating yourself up. And so the reaction from that, and the higher the swing one way of restriction means the higher the swing into binging. And when you're at the very peak of the binging, there's only one way to go, and that's back into restriction. And the restriction will this cycle of restriction binge will continue forever, for as long as you're pulling up that swing into restriction. Now, as soon as you stop pulling it back up and putting yourself on a diet, saying, oh, I mustn't eat this thing, or I mustn't do this, or I must not eat past this time, or whatever it is that you've decided that you shouldn't do or should do, it's making the swing higher. But as soon as you stop doing that stuff, the swing loses its momentum. Now, it's not immediately it will lose its momentum, because that's not the way swings work. It will slowly, go into binge, and then it will slow down, a little bit of restriction because you still might be mentally restricting, and slowly it will rest in the middle. And the middle is food neutrality. The middle is where you would be intuitive eating. And that is what quote unquote normal is. I say quote unquote because, who's normal? What's normal? It's all made up. And so that is what is happening in an analogy sense when you feel like you are addicted to